If you're a train buff like myself, or just interested in seeing real trains work and maybe riding on them, in the province of Ontario, there are a variety of places you can go to visit these trains. Many are very historical. So in this video, I'm going to look at tourist railways of Ontario. The first tourist railway, which is also a freight railway and traditionally known as the Algoma Central Railway, it's gone through different ownerships through the years: Wisconsin Central, Canadian National, and more recently Watco. But the Iowa Canyon tourist train has survived all those changes and is continuing to run. I have not ridden on that train personally, but I have ridden on Train 1, which takes you from Sault Ste. Marie all the way up to Hearst. I've ridden pieces of it from the Sault up to Hawk Junction, and also from a place called Freighter up to Hawk Junction. At one time, you could take 1 north, stop in the Iowa Canyon, where you could see this scruffy fellow standing, and then you catch number 2 about an hour later. So you had about an hour to spend in the canyon. Next on the list is the Halton County Radial Museum, which is made up of streetcars, interurbans, and various electrical vehicles that run on the track. The line actually runs on an old interurban line that used to run between Guelph and Toronto. It's located in a town called Rockwood, which is near Guelph. They have both static displays, such as this London Port Stanley box cab, and you can ride on things such as this Montreal and Southern interurban unit. Speaking of the London and Port Stanley Railway, there's a tourist railway in Port Stanley, and part of that line is the old London Port Stanley Railway. The tourist train will take you from down at the bottom by the lake, up the steep hill to the top and back. It's a fun little ride, and they have a variety of little switch engines, as you can see in these 2 pictures. Now, if you're ever in Huntsville, there's a neat little place called Muskoka Heritage Place, and on that site, they have a little railway called the Portage Railway. And that was an actual railway at one time that used to run between 2 steamships. One ran on Lake of Bays and one ran on Lake Muskoka. I haven't had a chance to ride on it yet, but I do plan to get up there at some point and enjoy this fun little train. Now, going quite a bit further north, there's the Ontario Northlands Polar Bear Express, which can take you from Cochrane all the way to Moosonee, just south of James Bay. Not only is it a tourist train, but it's also a valuable transportation link for people, as there are no roads up to Moosonee. In addition to that, you can also take a water taxi across to Moose Factory. This train's been operating for many, many years, as you can see in this additional photo of myself when I was just a wee bit younger. Now let's just enjoy a short video I shot of the Polar Bear Express leaving Cochrane. Now if we head to Tottenham, we have the South Cinco Railway. The unique thing about this railway, which runs on an old piece of CN line, which was long ago abandoned, they run steam engines. Well, sometimes. Engine 136, which is well over 100 years old now, and was in the Pierre Berton special, The National Dream, about building the Canadian Pacific across Canada, is the featured steam engine. The other one is engine 1057, which I believe is now under restoration. 136 does run once in a while, but being as old as it does need a lot of maintenance. In its place, sometimes they'll run diesels, such as this Kingston Locomotive Company diesel seen here. The line runs between Tottenham and Beaton. In southwest Ontario, in Waterloo, there's the Waterloo Central Railway, which runs from Waterloo up to the neat little town of St. Jacobs and makes a stop in between at the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. This is a neat little way to go up and visit both the farmers market and the little town of St. Jacobs while riding on some vintage equipment. In these pictures is a GE 70 tonner, former CN engine. And then also I've got a short clip here of the Essex Terminal Railway 060 steam engine, which is actually a switcher in its day, number 9. It runs on occasion as well. Next up is the York-Durham Railway, and it runs from Stouffville up to Uxbridge on an old CN line, which kind of twists and turns over the Oak Ridges Moraine and is hauled by a vintage RS11 engine. Once again, we head back up into northern Ontario to Sudbury. Now, from Sudbury to White River is one of the rare VIA trains that still runs on Canadian Pacific track instead of Canadian National. This train is very similar to the trains 1 and 2 on the Algoma Central that I mentioned earlier. It makes many stops along the way, but also makes for kind of a fun ride as a tourist. But if you're in a hurry, don't take this train. Unfortunately, nothing lasts forever, and that includes tourist railways. The next two, unfortunately, no longer run, but I had the pleasure of riding on both of them. The first, the Credit Valley Explorer, ran from Orangeville down to just north of Brampton and twisted and turned through the forks of the Credit. Truly a scenic ride to go on, and I'm glad I got to enjoy it. Unfortunately, it no longer runs, and unfortunately, even worse, even the freight service has been discontinued up to that area. So if you live in Orangeville and you're stuck behind a truck, well, I guess now you know why. Last but not least, the Guelph Junction Express. This train used to run from Guelph down to Guelph Junction, which is near Campbellville, turn itself on the Y, and then come back up to Guelph again. Also a very nice little scenic ride through the countryside, and unfortunately, like the Credit Valley Explorer, no longer runs. Fortunately, the freight service is still running in this area. Here's also a little short video that I shot of the train that myself and my youngest daughter went on a number of years ago before they discontinued it. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what you saw and wish to see more content on model trains and real trains, please subscribe to my channel.